Oh, all right. It has been some time since I last made one of these. And today I'm back with another DaVinci-based tutorial where I want to just go over a few little tips and tricks that I have used as of late to streamline my workflow and improve my editing times in DaVinci Resolve. So the first thing right off the bat is making a project preset so that every time you load up a new project, you can click a few buttons and have all of your favorite project settings be loaded right into your current project. So if you go to project settings up here, you click file, scroll down to project settings, click on that bad boy there, and then you go to these three dots in the corner and click that. You can now see you have a default preset setting, and then you have a set current settings as default preset setting, and then you can also load presets in here. So what I have done is I have gone through and I've grabbed all my favorite settings and made all the adjustments I make, which for me in my timeline is normally making sure I'm in 4K, making sure my image scaling is set to scale to full frame with crop, making sure that my timeline color space is on Rec 2020 Gamma 2.4, and that my output color space is on Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. By default, this is set to 709 scene and 709 scene. That's fine, it's totally the standard, but I prefer the way the 2.4 Gamma looks. It's a little bit further updated beyond the Gamma 2.2, which is what I would assume the scene is using. And then I'm using Rec 2020 in my timeline color space to improve my color accuracy, my dynamic range rather, when I am editing the footage. Now back into master settings. These are all of my settings already applied to my timeline because it is set as my default. But I could still come up here and I could click load preset. This is exactly what I already have loaded now, this setting here, that is my default. Or I could come here and I could click save current settings as preset, enter my preset name, and now I have, another preset in that drop down menu up here that is saved and I can click on and just quickly swap to at any point. For example, if I wanted a vertical version of what I have now, I could go use vertical resolution, right? And then I could go save current settings as preset, and I could go whatever that last one was, 16:9 UHD standard. I could go save current settings as preset, and I could go 16:9 UHD standard vert. And now when I go in here, I see there's 16:9 UHD standard and 16:9 UHD standard vert, and I have two options now. This one is still set as my default unless I want to change it and set current settings as default, and then every time I loaded up a new project it would be the same as my previous settings, with the only change I've made being vertical resolution instead. So that is one way to really easily speed up your editing workflow, like in 10 seconds. Just go into your file, project settings, and save yourself some presets and throw on a default preset as well, so that every time you load up a new project it automatically defaults to your preferred settings. Right. Now, moving on to number 2 here is something that I've started to do recently, which is power grades. Now I'm going to grab a piece of footage from the last video I shot with William Patino. Where is it? Here is the footage. I'm just going to grab a little video from in the forest here with him. The shot I'm looking for should be right here somewhere. right here. This is the shot I want. Right, and we'll work with this shot here. So I'm gonna drag and drop that into my timeline, right? It's just this little basic shot of Will walking past the camera as I sort of pull focus from this little branch to him as he walks past the camera there. And now the thing that I've been using to speed up my workflow is specifically for color grading, and I've made myself a power grade here. So you can see it's called the Adventure grade, and it's basically just a grade that I've made that I found worked really well in a large range of my footage, and then I've saved it so that whenever I have a piece of footage, I can just drag this and plop it on there. And now, and I think that looks pretty good, I have a pretty much fully graded piece of footage, at least to a basic degree, right? Like there's a little bit too much magenta there and maybe a touch too much blue, but I could change that really easily, right? I could come here to my temperature and I could just warm that up a little bit. And now there's not too much magenta, there's not too much blue, and we're back on track, right? Personally, I do like that that larger degree of blue there. I think it adds a lot of nice color contrast. It's a little too purpley for me, but that color contrast comes off really nice to me. So I'd like to keep that like that. But essentially what I'm saying is that having a color grade that you can just slap onto your footage like it was a LUT, but still have it be, you know, broken up into the node tree that you use to create it, that you can then go in and manually adjust and tune to the footage, can significantly speed up your post-production workflow. So I'll go through how to do that right now. Let me just delete this grade off of this clip. I'll go reset. I thought there was a reset button. I'll go back until I can reset it. And now we're back to our base grade. I'm gonna grab out my editing console for this as well. You don't need one if you don't have one. It just helps me more finely tune the color wheels and whatnot here, because it has little dials and things. So like I can hover over it and then I can use a little wheel on my editing console to adjust it like that. It's kind of wild how good you can make log footage look without doing any conversion to it. It's still, you know, not ideal, but it's not too bad. Anyway, focus. So I have my footage here, and the first thing I'm going to do, like always, is make a couple nodes. I like, for my basic color grades, to run a 3-node tree, right? One for warmth and contrast, one for saturation and color, and then the last one I put on my color space transform, and I adjust the shadows and the highlights to get my best exposure there. So first thing I'm going to do is throw my CST, color space transform, onto that last node. I'm going to select what the footage is, Panasonic V-Gamut from Panasonic V-Log. I'm going to select my output color space, which is going to be Rec 2020, and the gamma is going to be Gamma 2.4, just like I've set my timeline up to deal with. And then from there, I'm going to just do my basic grade, which will be going into my first node here and upping my warmth a little until I'm happy with it, something like that. And then upping my contrast. Really make those, bring out some detail in the shadows and create some more depth in the scene. Go to my second node here and I will up my color boost a little. Go for, sometimes with color boost, less is more. It's tricky to tell where the sweet spot is. I'm gonna go there, and then I'm also gonna go over here and up my saturation a little bit. I would struggle to put my finger on the exact difference between those two, honestly, but it seems to me to be similar to the vibrance and saturation scales in something like the Lightroom, where color saturation boosts the saturation of the entire scene, and color boost is more selective, boosting the saturation of some areas more than others, and so I sort of just play with them until I feel it's, looking pretty good. Not a very scientific method, I know, but it works for me. Next, I'm going to adjust my shadows. I'm going to bring the shadows up a little bit just to make the greens in the foregrounds pop a little bit more. You can see that we're getting a little bit more light in this corner and that corner if I just turn the shadows up a tish. I say a tish, we're going up 30-ish. And then for the highlights, I'm going to turn them down a little bit, just a touch. And then I'm going to also pivot back here in the contrast. What pivot does is it changes what the contrast is focused on affecting, whether it's focused on deepening shadows or heightening highlights. So you can, here the contrast is balanced, but you can pivot it to either focus on darkening shadows or just brightening highlights. And so I tend to pivot it a little bit to darken those shadows to make sure that my image doesn't come off as overexposed. Now I'm going to actually put that highlight back up a little and pull more out of those shadows. Just a bit. Play with it a little bit until I feel I've gotten it right. And I might turn down that magenta to give it more of a green. Because we're in the forest. Don't be afraid to give it a little bit more green. As long as the skin tones don't go crazy, and they seem to be relatively okay there. They don't look too whack to me. So now that I've gotten my color grade sorted, I watch it back. I go, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe I want to adjust a little bit of something, so I'll go back to my color grading tab. I go, oh, that's a little bit too blue. I'll do something like taking this last node, and actually I'll add a node for this. I'll be smart. Add a node before, go in and adjust my color warper a little bit. I want a little bit less blue. I'm going to push that blue out of the scene a little bit just to make it look a little bit more put together. That's a little better. I still see too much purple, so maybe I'll push a little purple out of the scene, right? But again, you also want to think that this is supposed to be a grade that you can slap onto any footage that you're getting, or a lot of the footage you're getting, and then grade it from there. So I don't want to do too much. I only want to exclude things that I'd already want to exclude anyway. And I often do find myself turning down blues and purples, so I'm okay with that. I can always go back in and just turn this node off. Oops, that was in the wrong node, that was. I can always go in and just turn the node where I've made these changes off after the fact to, if I don't like the effects they're giving. That's the beauty of doing a power grade instead of just slapping a LUT on your footage, because you still have the full control of your nodes here. Like, I could slap this on a different piece of footage, not like it, just like bam, alright, I'm going to turn that off, and all the blue and the purple comes back, right? I don't want that in this case, so I'll leave it on. It makes it really easy. Now that looks much better to me. It's more orange, green, less blue, purple. His legs are a little bit too red, but I wouldn't be super worried about that. Maybe you could turn them down just a tiny bit like that, and now boom, problem solved. Yeah, that actually did it perfectly. Problem solved. Less red on the legs. Anyway, once you have your grade finalized and you're ready to save it, you're gonna want to go to here, right click on the picture just here, and go grab still. And now you have a power grade. That's it. Boom. Done. I have a feeling that originally it might go into here, and then you have to drag it into power grades. But yeah, now you have a power grade. And if I were to delete all of this, boom, back to normal footage, I can just go bam, and I have my footage, you know, my grade applied. I could drag any other clip from the project that I worked on here, or any other project that is shot obviously in my log profile. If I shot in a different log profile, I would then have to go and change that color space transform to be true to the log profile that the footage was shot in. But even then, that's really easy to do, right? In a pinch, you could totally have footage from a different log profile and just drag my vlog setup power grade onto it, and then adjust that after the fact by just going into your last node here and changing the values on this color space transform to be whatever you required. But yeah, so I have another piece of footage in here, and this is a great example. Like, I want the color grade, bam. Now I have that color grade I had on the last piece of footage. Obviously, like, this is a more intimate shot. I definitely want to tweak the grade on this. Not a very good shot to begin with, to be honest, but I definitely want to be tweaking this grade. I can turn, you know, my blue reduction off. You can see it much on the path right there. If I turn it off, there's a lot of blue and purple coming out. Not just because how I graded it. It was a little rushed, so I didn't tweak it like I normally would to balance those as much, but you get the concept. The concept is there to speed up your workflow a lot. And if you get it right, like this grade up here, my adventure grade happens to be, a lot of the footage that I slap it on that is exposed as exposed correctly, pretty much, it works really well for, with, you know, only minor tweaks required, because I kind of made it with a power grade in mind, so that when I slap it on a piece of footage, it maybe doesn't make it as fully graded or as precisely graded as I want, but ultimately that works in my favor because I can slap it on a variety of different shots with different exposing, with different scenes and colors in them, and not have to worry about it overdoing certain aspects of a scene, because I've sort of undergraded it a little bit, right? Like, compared to this grade I have here, you can see that if I were to switch to this one, it's not quite as saturated, right? The greens don't pop as much. It's a little bit less, just to make sure that whatever footage I pop it on, I'm not pushing it too far. It looks good, but it's never going to be completely overdone. It's the same with this one, right? Like, this one is a really specific grade. You can already see if I put my adventure grade on it, there's not quite as much contrast, right? And that is by design, so that I don't, you know, overdo it in any aspect of my grade when I'm just slapping my power grade on as a default baseline. And that's just to make sure that if I need to rush and only use something like the power grade, it looks good, but it's never gonna look, seldom going to look too overdone to the extent where it's ruining my footage. So the idea is that it speeds up your workflow to that tweaking stage right at the end of your color grading workflow right away, rather than you having to make a grade for each set of footage that you throw into your project and then, you know, copy over that grade from piece to piece to piece or whatever. Which is probably one good thing to mention, by the way. If you didn't know, you can always just copy a grade from any footage to any footage in your timeline by using middle mouse. So I can be on this grade and I can click middle mouse over here, bam, grade is copied over. Or I can just simply Control C on this and then Control V on this, and it copies it over just the same. And you can multi-select just like you'd normally do for other applications on Windows as well by clicking a clip and clicking shift and selecting both. Like I could go here, I could click shift, and I could click that one, and bam, it's going to select everything from the first clip to the last clip I selected, whether it be this one or maybe a clip way down the timeline over here and all the clips in between. And then you could select control to single out a clip. So I want to add just one clip to that selection. Maybe I want to skip this one and go to another one over here that's down my timeline. I can select control and click whatever one would be over here, and it would skip this one. Whereas if I click shift, if I shift click this one, it selects everything in between the first clip and the one you're shift clicking on. I hope that made sense. But yeah, that is the second way that I've most recently improved my post-production workflow. And then just as a little bit of extra information here, what you can do if you have two computers like me, like I've got my MacBook for my mobile editing workflow, and then I've got my desktop, which I'm on here, is I could right click this and I could go export, right? And I could save this to my desktop, export, and then come down here to my desktop, and I can see this is my still right here. I've heard you're supposed to use both files, but I'm not sure if that's old information or not. But anyway, if I came in here and I deleted that grade, right, and I wiped it off here, now oh no, it's gone. What do I do? But I've saved it. Grab that. Boom, bada bing, bada boom, and bam. Now I have that grade. It's a file. I can put it on any computer, drag and drop it to my Power Grade page here of DaVinci Resolve, and I have that grade with me. I can slap it on any footage. Super duper easy. Don't even have to think about it. So that is what I would do if I were you and you're editing a lot, you're color grading a lot, and you want a nice reliable way to A, keep your grades consistent across multiple workspaces, and B, speed up your post-production workflow in your color grading, for your color grading. Yeah, cool. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Anybody who's watching out there, Gareth, I know you're watching. And I hope that helps some of you. Let me know what you want to see next in the comments. If you have anything you've been struggling with on DaVinci, or with your video post-production in general, or your shooting, and I will be more than happy to try to acquiesce to those requests and see if I can't help you guys out with whatever you're dealing with. But that's it for today. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Subscribe if you want. Have a wonderful evening or day or morning, no matter what. And I'll see you in the next video.